Here we have a prime minister, the fellow who came on television and called the election, having told Canadians just a short 2 years before that he was going to be a different kind of prime minister than anybody else. He was going to set a fixed date for elections, and he was going to make sure that no political opportunism or nothing of that kind would get in the way of a principled stand of having the election on October the 19th, 2009. Well, you know, I look at my watch and I look at the time belt and I say the election's being called for October 14th, 2008. How did that happen? Well, he said, I had to do it. The devil made me do it because there was a crisis in Parliament. The only problem with that analysis is Parliament wasn't actually in session. So and on a serious point, you say, well, okay, he told us there was going to be a fixed date for an election. He passed a law that way, and he didn't do it. He broke the law. Then last week he announced there was going to be a fixed date for the departure of our troops from Afghanistan, and that fixed date would be 2011. And I'm looking at Mr. Harper and I'm saying, buddy, if we can't believe you on the election, why would we believe you on Afghanistan? Every election comes down to a choice about people, a choice about teams, a choice about principle. Well, we're getting to know pretty well as Canadians what Mr. Harper is all about. He carried out a reverse takeover of the old Progressive Conservative Party, and I can tell you, in all my years of experience, I've never seen a more secretive, a more right-wing, a more ideological, a more completely controlled party in government as the one that we have under Stephen Harper. Stephen Harper is no John A. Macdonald. Stephen Harper isn't even Brian Mulroney or R.B. Bennett. Stephen Harper isn't even Robert Borden. Hell, he's not even Lizzie Borden. He's got a terrible agenda in mind for Canadians. And then he comes on that blue sweater and says, oh, don't worry, Canadians, you can relax. Summertime, I'm going to call a snap election, but don't worry, I only want a minority. To which we could say, buddy, who are you kidding? You already got one of those. We know why you're calling this election. You're trying to dupe the Canadians into giving you a majority. And I've got news for you. You're in for a surprise, Mr. Harper. We're going to defeat you and send you on your way. There's something about the way Mr. Harper looks at us on television and says things about income trust and says things about fixed elections, and we know they're not true, and we have what's called the Little Red Riding Hood factor at work. And that is, we look at Mr. Harper and we say instinctively, Grandma, what big teeth you have. And there's no way we're going to let that wolf stay at Sussex Drive any longer than past October the 14th, 2008. Well, you know, then we have the other pretenders to the throne. We have our friends in the New Democratic Party. And I know something about the New Democratic Party. And I'm not going to say anything except this. In the last period of the Martin government, we had a government committed to child care. We had a government committed to justice for Aboriginal people with the Kelowna Accord. We had a government that was committed to a deal for the cities and for infrastructure. And Jack Layton said, no, not good enough. And it's Jack Layton's NDP. Now, it's not just the NDP, it's Jack Layton's NDP. Well, let me tell you something, Jack. You've got your government. The Stephen Harper government is the house that Jack built. Yeah. And that's the house. That's the house. That's the house that's coming down on a fixed date. You want a fixed date, Stephen Harper? I'll give you a fixed date. Stéphane Dion will give you a fixed date. That fixed date is October the 14th, 2008. That's the date you're coming down.